Hey folks, David Stewart here. I thought I might try to do something just a little bit different today. I'm going to give you a little bit of an analysis and a commentary over one particular scene from a movie. That is the famous Duel of the Fates scene from Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Not my favorite Star Wars movie. In fact, it's almost my least favorite Star Wars movie. I think you guys know what my least favorite one actually is. But there's still lots of excellent craft going on in Episode 1. And this scene is a great example. This is the famous lightsaber duel between Darth Maul and both Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon Jinn at the same time. And I think it is a really good example of how you can tell story and how you can create tension and resolution, because I spent my last video talking about tension and resolution without dialogue. There's no dialogue in this particular scene that we're going to look at. It's all told visually with sound and with music, and all three of those things work really, really well. Visually, we have some really, really good looking sets. We have some excellent choreography. The way that the actors move, we're able to clearly see it. We don't have any kind of the shaky cam business that is so popular these days. We have camera angles that allow us to really see and understand how the action is happening. We get to see the choreography. We don't have that choreography obscured by lots of jump cuts and stuff that really masks what the actors are doing. We get to see them actually fight with these light swords, which is really, really cool. Sound-wise, as far as sound design, I think it's an excellent example of good sound design. What you'll hear in it is that the lightsabers really, really pop out. They're really, really loud. And I recommend if you watch this, I'm going to cue it up and I'm going to give a link and we can watch it together and I'll give you a commentary. So if you can watch it on a really loud system where you can get the impact of that, I think you're going to really enjoy it. Now, this is a stereo mix of the scene, and if you hear it in 5.1, it's probably going to be even better, but the stereo mix is pretty good, and I will talk about some of the stereo effects that are in it. The stereo effects are actually quite good. So you do have the lightsabers. They really pop, and they crackle, and they're loud, and you're not going to hear sound design like that in a lot of newer movies where we have sounds that are allowed to really pop out of the texture. So it's louder above than the music, and then, you know, the grunts and the footwork and that sort of stuff that's happening. Likewise, there's also really good stereo effects and really good volume effects, and we'll talk about those as they happen. And the third thing is music. The music is, this is a really, really famous piece, Duel of the Fates, that's also played in concert and is probably very worthy of hearing all on its own. It has a brass feature and a choir feature that are very, very prominent. The music is used to sort of tell... add to the story and tell the story of the emotions that the characters are experiencing, particularly Obi-Wan Kenobi. And so the music is of particular value. And one of the things that you will see when the music is happening is there's a part where the action stops and the music stops. And this actually builds the tension. We have a long lightsaber duel here, and the whole idea of it is to continue the tension. We're building tension. We're trying to create anticipation for the resolution of this battle, and when we finally get it, it may not be exactly what we want, but we have been anticipating that through the entire scene. And it's about a 5-minute scene, but it's a very, very good, effective 5 minutes. So let's go ahead and cue it up. I do have a link below, and what I'd like you to do, I'll say press play, and you can press play and you can hear me give sort of all my little detailed responses about the scene as it is transpiring. So if you're watching this on a PC, that'll be pretty easy. Obviously, if you're watching it on your phone, you may just want to like watch the scene and then hear me or something like that. But let's go ahead and take a quick watch of this. It's a really good scene. I have it pulled up now, and let's say go. So we have our little intro from ER here. And then our action begins with a dual lightsaber, which we haven't seen before in the movies, which was exciting to see. And we have the choirs come in. The very characteristic theme. Notice how loud the lightsabers are and how they move from one channel to another channel. Notice when he throws that little object, we hear it come out of one channel. The stereo effects in this really take a lot of very careful work from the sound design team, because when you have something happen in one channel, you're cutting the volume because we're not hearing it out of the other channel. So to have something come out of one channel and still be perceived as loud and having an impact takes a whole design philosophy that's going to have a lot of peaks and valleys It's going to have a lot of quiet moments in order to make those things really stand out. But you'll see when they're on two sides of Darth Maul, you'll hear the lightsaber crackles coming out of one channel and then another. You see when the camera moves away, it gets quieter. When it's close, it gets louder. So it's like we're in the action, which is really, really, really well done. I'm not quite sure how they survive these falls, but we'll chalk it up to the Force. You know, they're Jedis. They probably have some ability to negate fall damage. We have our famous brass theme again, really upping the tension, letting you know what's going on. Now, notice that the music's a little more subdued. We just have the choir. That's because we're really starting to identify with what Obi-Wan is feeling, and he's far away from the action right now. He's trying to get back to the action. Right here is a great effect coming up. Nice loud crackles. The music stops. So when we have the music stop, we get a really, really good effect of the tension. We've stopped the action, but we're still anticipating the resolution of that action. We get to hear all the little sound effects come in, the hum of the lightsabers and the force fields. Then we get just a little bit of atmospheric woodwind effect from the orchestra, just to let you know that Qui-Gon is peaceful. He's meditating. He's trying to keep his centered peace. We hear a dark theme from Darth Maul to let you know that he's feeling his dark side passion. You know, all of this supports the themes of the movie in a really, really good way. Big, loud bangs and crackles once the force field drops, and a nice dissonant brass chord to keep the tension up. Once again, music stops because Obi-Wan is separated from the action. He's trying to stay centered as well, but you could see he's more emotional than Qui-Gon was. Qui-Gon is much more centered. There's a lot of anticipation as to how this fight's going to pan out. That quiet actually adds to the anticipation. Notice when Qui-Gon dies, we have the orchestra kick back in. That lets you know that Obi-Wan is actually feeling a strong bit of passion, a bit of remorse, a bit of sadness. And you can see it in his face, anger and sadness. So rather than being the centered, meditative Qui-Gon, he's going to have a very impassioned response. Music stops and then it starts again. We're going to have our brass theme. And what we're going to get from this is, this is very reminiscent with the choirs to me of the lightsaber battle at the end of Return of the Jedi, because of how much sort of anger and fury there is between these two. Notice we actually get to see the actors move and kick. And the only time that we have something obscured is when the guy gets kicked in the face, because that's a little bit difficult to do well and convincingly with choreography. But otherwise, we get to really see them move these lightsabers around. We get to really hear them crackle and pop. Now we have the music get really tense and loud because Obi-Wan is in danger of death. There goes his lightsaber. Now we're going to hear actually a theme from the first movie, the Force theme, that lets us know the Force is at work. This is an operatic reference. Here it is, played by the horns, just like in A New Hope. Lets us know that he's going to use the Force and that fate is at work. We have a little bit of tension in the face of Darth Maul, too. Here we go. A nice dissonant brass chord. We're wondering, is this the end? Did we resolve this conflict? And as we see Darth Maul fall in half, yes, we've resolved the conflict. And then we have silence. We have dissonance and then silence, which is a really, really interesting effect. Kind of lets us know that even though the opponent has been overcome, Obi-Wan has not really achieved a lot of peace from it. It ends with dissonance and then silence, which I think is a good effect. So I think it's good to look at these things on a micro level, to really analyze them sort of moment to moment, because there's a lot of craft that goes into movies, that goes into visually telling a story, and there's a lot of craft that goes into writing. So maybe we'll do some micro with some writing itself. But we could see how all of those elements mix together to produce a really, really good effect. An effect where we have 5 minutes of building tension with an unexpected twist and a final resolution. So it's a really, really good example of some good storytelling. Hopefully you have enjoyed this little change of pace. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you want to see in the future. I'm always happy to deliver if I can. And Please have a good day. Don't forget to visit my websites and all of that happy business. Thanks so much for watching.